Hello, today we're going to talk about Step Arp. Step Arp is one of the free step sequences that Ableton Live or Ableton have released with version 12 or 12.1 more specifically. I've already done a review of Rhythmic Steps and SQ Sequencer, and I love them both. And today is the third one called Step Arp, and I really think you're going to like this. So what I'm going to do to demonstrate this, we'll use a few different instruments, but we'll just start with this really nice Contact one called the Maverick. You need a MIDI clip with chords. So I'm just going to very quickly create some chords here using a generative tool here. We're going to use stacks and we're just going to add chords as we go. Add another one there, and that one. So let's just hear how they sound. It's connected to the BPM. You can see here it's synced. You can do a free rate and do something that's different to the BPM. Just easier to sync to the BPM. We're going to slow things down just a touch to 100 so we can kind of more clearly hear what it's doing. So as you can see here, we've got different divisions as well. So we can go down to 1/8. And we've got triplet mode and dotted mode. And then the other option here is swing. Swing's pretty nice sounding. So let's remove swing and we'll just go back to the default speed of 16. What we can do is we can switch some of the steps off here. So you can see straight away it's a bit more powerful than your typical Ableton arpeggiator. Or you can just randomize the velocity. So we've got the velocity chosen here. So the MIDI is coming, remember, it's coming from the MIDI clip. So it's different to SQ Sequencer that is generating MIDI from the actual machine or the actual sequencer. So we can choose the range that we want the random to appear in. Go right to the top like that. So yeah, there's velocity, and then we have length. We can randomize length as well. Let's just bring them all back here. Then we've got something called chance. We just click chance on and we'll randomize chance. So just stopping that for a second, all chance does is it's the chance that the note will actually play. So the higher it is, if you get to 100%, there's a 100% chance that the note's going to play. If you reduce it down, it will go down. So you just tell straight away as soon as you get to this bit here. Very cool. I'm going to switch chance off though. You can see it's grayed out. And then we have ratchet here. Let's do a random on ratchet. So ratchet seems to play double speed every time the note comes through. So remove ratchet for now and we'll unclick it and then we'll click on transpose. So transpose is the same thing. We can select a range for transposition and then we can switch it on or off like that. And let's just hear how that sounds. Once again, we can randomize this. And it's playing within the range that we select. So if we want to select a lower octave range or a wider range. So for me, transpose works really well when you're using scale awareness. Scale awareness will look at the main scale of your song, which is up here, and say we want it to be in E flat minor. It will transpose it basically to E flat minor. Let's change the chords as we go. We click re-triggering is here. Let's change the chords again. We'll go to A minor, pentatonic. Now the other thing you have is this thing called map CC. Basically it allows you to map one parameter to a external effect or to some effect within the instrument. So say for example in this Contact instrument, we'll just go and have a look at the parameters of that. We can say map to distance by clicking configure here. We'll map to distance And what we can do then is we can map that to distance like that. You can see it's now mapped to distance, and it will basically change the distance based on however much you want to change it by. So let's just change it like that. Let's make some a bit larger so you can hear the difference. We can do some other configurations, for example. We can change it by size. So let's just do that now. Switch that off and map it by size like that. So I think that's pretty cool. Now, the other thing I wanted to show you was also the length of the loop, because the length of the loop can make a difference to the sound of your arpeggiator. So for example, we could make it 5 steps. Let's bring this one here back into play. And we can go forwards, backwards, alternate, and do random steps. So what I've done now is I've brought in an analog synth, and then I've added a MIDI effect called expression control. Now, expression control is going to shift my velocity to whatever function I want in repro. So I've selected a couple. One is cutoff and one is attack. So we can have a play with that. I've added a backing drum so you can just kind of get a different feel. And I'm going to take you through the different modes as well. So let's go. So for example, now we've got the velocity at different levels like that. And then we have a cutoff, which we can manually change with our mouse, as well as the attack. So let's start with the cutoff being at 0. What we can do is use expression control to map the velocity from the arpeggiator. We can map that to the cutoff. Let's select the cutoff there. So now this velocity is going to control that cutoff. So let's take a look. Now we can reduce the amount of velocity like this by clicking on random. Or we can make it much higher like that, but then we can control how much velocity is actually used. So we've got the minimum and maximum. So we can say cut down the maximum to about 50%. And you can see here, this is all moving, right? So you can actually automate the amount. You can see that moving there by itself without me touching it. So the combination of the step sequence of velocity control as well as automation from the expression control can really give you some interesting results. If you want to say now map the attack instead to the expression control, just shift it to attack. We can increase the attack or decrease it as we need here. So I think that's quite a useful little function. So let's go back and map that cutoff again, because the cutoff sounds really nice. Okay, so that's super cool. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate the different types of notes. So let's go forward. This is just playing the notes straight. This is playing the notes up. This is playing them down. This is playing them like a keyboard, like playing all 3 notes. This is randomized. This is playing the next note forward. So let's just go back to this keyboard selection. We're going to just go back into repro here. We're going to just change the preset. We're going to select a different preset. Let's choose this one. So that keyboard one really does work well like that, as well as adding the cutoff with it as well. Let's duplicate that. Let's go back and select another bass line here. So you can see here the combination of instruments and automated control makes this basically an arpeggiator on steroids. It can just do so much more than your typical Ableton arpeggiator. And sometimes you like to use these arpeggiators to give you that extra bit of inspiration. So have you tried the Step Up? What do you guys think of the Step Up?